The man's just delivered it. He bought it in his car. Got it here special.
There's the card.
The card? Red's writing on it at the minute. Right. So Paul has man away at the minute. She doesn't know anything about this. She's going to be so surprised. Just delivered her washing machine, tumble dryer. And apparently you've got this big red ribbon around it. So far everything is going to plan. So far. Oh yeah, okay, you must get with the card on. Yeah, get back to don't break off the card up when you
He's just sitting down with Stephen. Oh, please. He was sitting in the corner. Because we just over and we didn't see anyone. Yeah. So it's about. I was going to call the sitting room and then Shania delivered. Yeah. So when she going to see that?
So when we finish here, we'll all go back to Mams.
Yeah.
She'll have another Saturday night. But I better not dump it because she'll go mad.
Well, she'll still stand, but the washing machine will still stand there watching it.
I might go pop it over here.
But that'd be a good place to hello. Hello. Give us a clue with the hair. Look at the hair, good, right?
Oh, that's lovely.
That's brilliant.
So she left all these blue for
There you go.
just whacked everything else in. Chucking all these.
I'm just getting very seeing everybody.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Elizabeth, Catherine, Michael, Judith, Stephen.
Mom! You knew all about this.
Right. You're not that third. Third actually.
Okay, we'll all get ourselves settled for a few minutes because it's appropriate to say a few words on such an occasion. So, if the bands can't see, can you come to the front, please?
They want to see you.
The band's going to come to the front, and then can somebody use my camera, please? I want a good picture of me. Good. Don't we all? For the first time. Okay.
I've got blonde vision, so can't tell.
How many pictures do you want,
Friends, neighbours.
Family?
Is Louis here? Louis, thank you so much for helping us to organise this and for the use of the room. And
I can't see you, Louis. Can you come out the front?
yeah, we need you here, Louis. Because you come into the speech later on as well, man. Alright? Okay. Right. First of all, thanks for everybody to come for coming celebrating a very special day. I think we'll agree that, Mom, definitely this was a surprise birthday party. You're not going to get another one like that. Well, too much for this time. But the great thing is everybody's kept the secret, and I think now that our Mickey's here, all 9 of us are here today. Yay! With Mother. Okay, so I think we need to say a few words about that. As it's your 70th birthday, Ma'am, I thought we should have a special edition of This Is Your Life. And at this point, everybody should go, da, da, da. And we have a number of special guests here today. Louis, we've already mentioned, who has been a friend of the family ever since we can remember. Yeah. and really have always been part of our family, haven't they? Because you've always been around, you've always known us, and other people have come. So, what I want to try and do is tell Mother's life story. In about 10 minutes. So this is your life in 9 chapters, right? It's divided into 9 parts for a reason which will become apparent very soon. Yeah. In case you haven't worked it out, it's because there's 9 children. So we're going to try and describe my mother's life in 9 parts, and also recognise perhaps the achievements that she has done. Now, the first thing she said to me is, we don't want none of your German twang, so I'm definitely Ma'am, herzlich Glückwunsch zum Geburtstag.
Which means Halloween shade.
Let's flight. Yeah. If it didn't have the interruptions, it means best wishes on your birthday, and may you stay healthy for the rest of your life. Now, we're now going to attempt the history of Mother in 10 minutes. Mum is very definitely a Morpeth woman, and she's lived all her life in Morpeth and nowhere else. You can see this is going to take more. Okay, Mum, where were you born? Right, but I was going to skip that bit. Because otherwise we don't have enough time. But basically we've lived in and around Morpeth. What I meant was in and around Morpeth, nearby, you know. Oh boy. She went to school in Morpeth. Do you want to do it yourself? So, Mum has spent almost her whole life in Morpeth, except for the bit at the beginning, which I wanted to skip because otherwise we'll be here all day. Right? She was born in Wilson. And she has, one thing she's done is develop a number of skills over the years. But one of the things about Mum that's phenomenal actually is her memory. Yeah. She doesn't forget anything. We are witnesses to that. Yeah. And actually, Mum says she went to school here. And which school did you go to? St. James. And one day, I found this photograph, and it was of Mum aged 7 or so? 5. And first school photograph, and there's about, in those days, there's about 40 kids in the class.
Mr. Primrose,
How many kids were in the class?
About 30.
About 30. And I said to Mum, do you remember any of their names? And she went through and named every single person in the photograph. And not only that, she told who was dead, who they married, how many kids they had, right? So, she definitely knows Morpeth. For the record, maybe the first big day in Mum's life was 1947, Christmas Day? No? You told me that Christmas was on Thursday. What year was it then?
48.
Dad was a year old as well, because he thought it was 47. Do you want to tell us what happened? Do you want to tell us how you met him? Well, the story I'm told, and Mum probably tells I'm wrong, is that you literally bumped into each other at the bus station.
The Coliseum.
The Coliseum.
I was looking at the thing that was on the Sunday night. But Michael had come down the steps to the Coliseum, and he was running to get the last bus. He was with a German lad. And he was running. He was running, coming down the steps to the Coliseum. And the bus was ready to pull out, and they were running to get the bus. And he thought it knocked me, and I thought it fell down.
Literally knocked her off. This is an audience participation speech. That's why it's going to take a while.
But there you got to stop
So you get the picture? Right. So she literally bumped into my dad at the bus station Christmas Day. There was no going back from there. Sometime later.
Yes, last Sunday.
Right.
That one would have been married. Come on, get on with it.
Can I get it? So the next bit is about when they got married, right? I think Mam's going to Mam. Pay attention, right? This is the version I have, right? There was actually, when she got married to Dad, we'll come to that. There was actually, I think, a bit of opposition to it, in that because Dad was Ukrainian and he was a foreigner, he wasn't accepted by the family straight away. And Mum actually had to fight quite hard. She had to stand her ground. Now, Auntie Iris is here somewhere. Yeah. Now, is this true? The story I heard was that Mum said she wouldn't come to your wedding unless my dad could come. Did you know that? Unless Dad could come. This is a story we've been told. Did you know that? Well, that's what this is your life is like. But the story I heard was that, this is what Dad told me. He said that Mum said she wouldn't go to the wedding unless he could come. And that was my granddad, your father, of course, granddad, said he wasn't going to speak to him. He said, okay, he can come, but I won't speak to him. And I said to Dad, well, what did you do about that? And Dad says, well, I went up to him and said, hello, I'm Michael, and shook his hand. And he said, we were best friends ever from that.
What about the bottle of whiskey he had?
Who?
Grandad and Dad.
I didn't want to go into that bit. We're trying to keep this clean, you know. There's Ben's here. So definitely, Mum had to fight in her own way for Dad. Yeah. I also asked her one day.
Mom, you got to listen.
Pay attention, because we're going to ask questions.
Come on, sir, hurry up.
I also asked her what attracted you to Dad, and she said he was a good walker. Things were different in them days, but one of the things she had.
Did you say worker or walker?
Walker. Yeah. I said, how did he get on with him? Because I said, Dad didn't speak much English, and Mother says, well, I kind of taught him, like, you know, I taught him how to. And I found that really interesting, because one of the things I love to do is work with kids who don't speak English. And I realised some time ago that maybe I really enjoyed doing that for Mum, right? So, anyway, then came the big event of Mum's life. I was born. But we're not going to talk about that. Instead, what I have, Mum, in order to help us, because people's memories aren't as good as yours, is I've actually brought a few clues along here. Do you recognise this bag, by the way?
Yeah, shopping bag.
A shopping bag. So anybody knows that Mum, wherever she goes, she's got a shopping bag with her, right? You don't know the half of it, right? And what I've done is sort of try to get the family involved in this by asking them, what's your sort of memory of Mother? What is it that you would come to mind, yeah? So the next in line is Judith.
Life on the common camp.
Right. So we have memories, Judith and me and Michael maybe have memories of living on the camp. And who else was on the camp? Yeah, people were on the camp. You remember what that was like? Great place, wasn't it? Yeah. And we should mention that time, because my memory, and I think Judith's memory when we were talking about it, was of Mum pushing the pram all the way across the common, yeah? I remember that really well because I had to walk the whole way. Because pretty soon the pram was full. You know? They kept coming along. At first I used to get right in the pram, but pretty soon I had to walk all the way. And I used to remember, you know where the common camp goes up and down, up and down. Boy, is them hills big when you're about that high. You know? We used to walk all the way to Morgan. All the way to Morgan. She would do the shopping, right? And one of the places we used to stop to get bullets, that are known as sweets, was Betty Shell's shop. You're standing above it right now. The shop was right below here, yeah? And we used to stop here. That was the good part, because you used to get your licorice or whatever. And then she would walk into Morgan and come back. It used to take all day. I used to think shopping lasted forever. And that's probably why I don't do much shopping these days, because that's where I remember it. But part of the problem was, Mother stopped to talk to everybody she met all the way down and all the way back. So it used to take all day, right? By this time, of course, Mother was a wife with young kids, and I suppose a pretty regular housewife of the time, yeah. But things changed after that, yeah. You know, I'm trying to look at my bag, right? Oh yeah. We've got a few mementos here. Things. Mother never throws anything away. You know. So we have a few things in here that sort of remind us of the times. And the first thing is, this is for Michael. Yeah, it's some aspirins. Michael, you have 2 minutes to eat all of these aspirins. The hospital has already been called. Gadget, do you want to tell us about it?
Apparently, I'll tell you better. I got up on the stool and thought they were sweets.
How old were you?
18 months.
Don't want to get it wrong.
Brain damage, like it out.
So this is Mom. One of the things you've got to do as a mother is be ready for emergencies, right? I mean, how many times you have to deal with emergencies, right? And one of the big emergencies actually was that Michael didn't just think they were sweets, but he liked the sweets and actually ate the whole bottle, the whole lot. He had 17 months. So we all ended up in down to the hospital while Michael got pumped out. Yeah. We've resented him ever since then, because while he was getting pumped out, we missed our dinner. Right? We had nothing. We were sitting in the car park like for hours waiting for her to come round.
I do. I wanted a swimming pool before.
In case you think this was a kind of accident, speaking of accidents, we realised that in fact most of them happened to Mickey in his life. So Mum also had to deal with him falling off his bike and cover himself from head to foot. There was the famous time when a brick was thrown and somehow managed to hit Michael on the head. That didn't do a whole lot of damage at the time. And you broke your collarbone as well, didn't you? Did you break your arm, collarbone, something like that? And you broke something as well. This is when we need Mum's memory, is that right? Them things that happened to Michael?
It was Paul who got the collarbone.
Didn't Michael break his arm or something? No. We'll let him off with that one, but it seems most things seem to happen by then. Okay. So that was our Michael. The next memento is for our Paul, yeah? I wonder if you recognise this. This is the very same thing with the bloodstains still on. Paul, would you like to explain what this is all about, or would you let Mum do it?
Mother would probably tell you about it was when she put a nappy on, she decided to punish us. And Timmy Willie does a nappy. The best one as well, she sat at school and wondered why he was screaming.
This was Mum's big mistake. But then, if you look at it, Yeah, if you look at our poll since then, maybe she was doing the right thing. But anyway, do you remember the time, in those days, of course, in those days, we had to wear nappies, so you didn't have none of them disposable things that your bends have got on, right? Yeah, just chuck them away. So you had these great big diapers, yeah, and they had to be pinned on with a couple of safety pins, right? It's a bit before your time, you young one, like, you know, this way. Well, I was always a bit fascinated by this because it seems like there was the triangular method, whereby you had one pin right there. Not recommended for boys in any way, yeah? And then you could have the two pins. But Paul was on the one pin method at the time, right? And anyway, Mother wondered why it was so hard to get this pin through the now we know, right? But it does bring one thing about Mam, which was that one of our memories is of her permanently washing nappies. Like, in order to do that, she'd have to wash nearly every day, virtually every single day. And in those days, she didn't have a washing machine, you know? So for years, she actually did it by hand, and it used to be always hanging on the line. One of the things that I remember, and we probably all remember, is nappies hanging on the line, right? Because Mam, by this time, had, what, 4 of us, 5 of us? And washing nappies was a big part of the job. She's lost interest now, she doesn't want to hear anything else.
Mother, listen to her.
So, we'll try to move a bit faster now, right? The next one is Elizabeth, and she has a little cue here, somewhere. If I can find it.
Where is it?
That's not me.
I've got to look in here, right? Oh yeah, Elizabeth, this is your memento.
Oh,
It wasn't me.
Well, 20 odd years ago, this was the source of a great mystery, which Mam will tell us about. We've been doing some detective work in the last 20 odd years, and we've actually think we found who was responsible.
I found it.
What is it about? What was this about?
to be reminded.
Mary can tell us stuff.
It's the Guy Fawkes week.
Oh, it was Guy Fawkes.
What's the guy called?
I know, well, Judith Fudge, actually.
It was my fault. Very like
Let Mary tell the story.
The house was on fire.
My Michael come up to you. Said the house
It's on fire, yes.
I was because I had the windows open and I was busy doing some washing before Michael come home from washing. And apparently our Elizabeth had gone up and she got these London lights out of our Judith Anna rack.
Oh, when did I came into this?
Because she was looking for a livelihood and she went under the divan and she started a fire at the pool. And when I closed the window, because you know they say keep the window shut, the whole bed went on hold and there was a fire in the bedroom. Mary came, our Michael had run out and he went to get Mary, because I mean I was expecting out at the time, and it was the post lady who told me, because I never thought. And Mary come and the whole lot was a fire and the smoke and everything. We had to get water, didn't we? Running back and forward from the bathroom along the window. I took the things off. I had to get the blankets off and I didn't get the mattress off. I've never been so frightened in all my life.
And whose fault was it, Ma'am? Was it more Lizzie or more Judith? It was Elizabeth. Can we move on? We've had too long now. Next one.
Nobody has ever owned up to the crime.
But it must have slipped down the bed.
Mary gave us some new information. What did you do when you got to the house? You just told us this before.
Oh, just opened the window. Once I got the flames down, opened the window and just flung the mattress out the window. Because it would have been dropping all the way down.
Loaded women, man.
We flooded the bedroom first, though.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
The new evidence which came up, which was accidentally.
I tell you what was my worst worry was the lady next door had a little baby the same age as her, Mrs. Ford. She got what do you call it?
Well, can we move on now? The bar should close shortly. Go on, Fred, next one.
Notice where Mams says.
No longer not that himself.
It wasn't. That was the reason why it
And of
was.
course, it was the little baby, wasn't it? The little one, that had no room to put her count.
Away, Fred.
Okay, Ma'am, can we move on? Right. But I did mention that because it does show in every family's lifetime there are some serious things which happen. And this was serious, although we're laughing about it. It was something. And with 4 or 5 kids around, those sort of things can happen and did happen. And Ma'am had to deal with those things. And perhaps it's marvellous when you think, because it then becomes 6, 7, 8 children, and any one of them is capable of doing something just silly, whatever. I have to say there's some new evidence came up, and Judith confessed to being under the bed shortly before the fire. We just found that out. Anyway. We'll move on from there though, but you know, serious things do happen. Now, 1960 is a big date because that's when we moved to Spelbit Lane. Thereabouts, yeah. And so, how long have we been in Spelbit Lane?
1960 or
1960.
It was 1959.
How do you know that, ma'am?
Because I remember it.
Exactly right. So, ma'am.
Elizabeth was born in 1960.
Ma'am remembers things by the times when her children were born, yeah? And we can test her on this. What was the weather like when Elizabeth was born?
Oh, Elizabeth. It was a bit cloudy morning, but it's sunny afternoon.
And what time was she born? 1 o'clock. On a Saturday.
1960.
And what were you doing at the time?
How much did you weigh?
Now, Ma'am can remember exactly what was happening, what the weather was like, who was doing what.
It was 8 pounds more.
And she was 8 pounds full, right? For every single one of us. Okay, we'll move on then fairly quickly then to the next memento. Stephen has this. Could you hold it up, please?
Yeah, shoe brush.
What did you help me with?
This memento is something we actually found is still here. Do you notice anything about this shoe? This was Grandad's shoe brush. She throws nothing away, right? It gets used, right? This shoe brush signifies right. The shoe brush.
You're going to say what was happening.
The shoe, ma'am. Okay. The shoe brush is a sort of memento to all the hard work Ma'am has done for us. When we were little and going to school, this is sort of memories of around about the time when we were all going to school, and one of the things she used to do was have us in the bed at 6 o'clock.
Oh, they told you.
6 o'clock, no later than 7, right? And so, for me, what I remember is one of the most embarrassing, humiliating things. I'm glad they're not here today to remind us. But, yeah, was one night when I was lying in bed on a bright summer evening when the sun was shining, and all the boys came around because they wanted to go play football, and I heard the door knock, because I was upstairs in the bedroom, the door knocks, and it opens, and they said, is Fred coming out? And Ma'am says, he's in bed. And he said, what's he doing there? I said, just going to bed. And he said, is he not coming to play football? And she said, no, he's going to bed. And they walked away up the path, like I said, what's the matter? I couldn't go out and play football for about 4 weeks after, because I was in bed. But to be fair, what she used to do in the evenings, I mean, She was ironing, she was washing, and she was cleaning shoes. And you used to get up in the morning,
Lined up.
7 o'clock in the morning, you'd get up, go to school, and all your shoes, for every one of us, were lined up, polished beautifully.
every night.
You just came out and there was that line of shoes there every single day, and they were clean. And we used to go to school immaculate. We went there and we were clean when we went to school, and we were well dressed, and Mother was determined to send us to school looking right, you know. And that's what she used to do. And one of the last things you used to hear at night was this brush polishing the shoes, yeah? The first thing you hear in the morning used to be the grate rattling, which Mum was always the first one up. I don't know if you hear it next door, but didn't you hear it? The grate rattling in the morning, yeah? And for years and years and years, that was the first sound that I would recognise. You know, when I used to come home from college, you used to hear, in the dark, in the middle of winter, you'd hear the grate rattling. So when we came downstairs, we used to have the fire already going. We all had a method, because it was freezing cold upstairs. There was no central heating downstairs. We used to have a method of jumping into our clothes, racing downstairs, and then you get all these pens standing.
Getting a bit of heat.
Move over a bit. I want to get the other cheek in, you know. And that's what it was like, you know. But Mum always had the fire going by the time we got down. And so she was always the first up and the last to bed every single time, right? And we were always ready for school. And so I think we shouldn't forget that. We also had to get the homework done as well. There was no messing about that, yeah? Right. Now we'll come to Catherine.
Right. You remember, Mum, then she makes the shop, go and get a more teeth for the baby's bottle. Whatever. We always came back with a dummy.
Who remembers the dummy?
You always wanted to do
Another dummy off the bottle? Right. Used to keep them going because the youngest one always had the dummy in the mouth, right, and that was keeping quiet. And when the bell was blaring, there would be this pantomime in the house where they'd say, "Where's the dummy? Where's the Ben's dummy? Find that dummy." And we had a game in our house called Find That Dummy. Sometimes it was Find That Bloody Dummy. But the search, we were expert searchers. We weren't going to find all this stuff, but we had to search. You're not getting out to eat till that dummy's found, right? So we used to have to go crawling around looking for the Ben's dummy, right? And the worst part, I was going to have that dummy today, but unfortunately we can't find it. So do you mind just looking under the chairs and tables and see if we can see it around anywhere? Because we need it, right? The Ben's right. But we'll eventually find this dummy. I don't know whether Stephen and Catherine and Margaret and Audrey won't remember this, but usually we'd find it underneath the settee. It was always under the settee. And this dirty, hairy thing with this thing, and you'd sort of rub it a bit, you know, and then you shove it in the Ben's So I was always looking for the dummy, right? But there was, of course, tremendous pressure on Mum to do that. Luckily, though, she had some relief. Where's Audrey? What's your line?
Copperman. Copperman.
One of the things Mum's always had to look after, as well as 9 Bens, if that wasn't enough, she had to look after a dog. Yeah? And first she had Cindy, and then she had Copper. Copper can't be with us today, but we do have Copper's lead. Right? Copper's tied to the wall. So we brought the lead for the dog because one of the things Mum is an expert in is looking after dogs, not just children, looking after dogs. And she actually trains them very well. Yeah, and Cindy was one of the most obedient dogs I'd ever met, right? And she was lovely, right? She met a match with Copper, though. And Copper has been rechristened. She's not called Copper anymore, she's called Copperman. Because what happens every morning, now in the morning, what happens is instead of hearing the great ring, and there's something else happens now, which is that Mum takes her for a walk and then comes back, and this happens every single morning, right? This happens. And when I am there, because this happens, she comes in and says, "Copper, Mum, Copper, come here," and then you hear boom, 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 boom. The door flies open, this dog lands in it, and she comes up and she says, "Copper, what are you doing up here?" It's like every single morning. So now I just say, "Hello, Copper." But Mum, you are great at looking after dogs though as well. So that's one of your achievements, looking after Copper and Cindy and having company. And of course, part of that is that she's often found on a common, as you well know, walking the dog. And she knows so many people, and so many people know Mam because of walking the dog out on the common. Isn't that so? And of course, everybody knows Mam.
I tell you what's worse, I was walking Copper one day, and this woman came up to me and said, "Hello Copper, who's this?" Copper answered that. Because we are the best. I know she's got it. Wants to kiss me.
That brings us.
Lots of things I know that you don't.
That brings us very nicely to Margaret.
Yes, David. She's not having anything to be like this.
Well, I think my abiding memory of me mum when I was growing up is looking after me dad.
Thank you kindly, Pastor.
And Margaret brings us to another side of Mam, perhaps another career that she had, which was that Margaret was, how old?
Nine.
She's 31 next Friday.
No, and I'm sure about this year, like 1976 when Dad had his heart attack.
When?
Dad had his heart attack, 1976? 77, yeah. So it's 22 years ago, and Margaret was then about 8, yeah? And until Dad died in 1992, which is a period of 15 years, Mam didn't just look after us, but looked after Dad as well, yeah? And after he had his first heart attack, he was actually given about 6 months to live at the time. And Mam looked after him and nursed him all through those years. For the rest of Dad's life, he was on invalidity benefit, he never worked again, and he had to deal with being changing from a strong man who worked in the coal mines to someone who was essentially an invalid, yeah. And Mam had to play a very big part in dealing with that. I think the fact that Dad lived so long says something about Mam's dedication to that and the devotion she showed to that. And to be fair, she never got a lot of thanks for it at the time, sometimes, because part of not only was the physical effects on Dad, but the mental effects on Dad as well. And often he got very depressed, and Mam had to deal with that as well. And so for many, many years, she looked after Dad. In the last year or so, when he was especially ill, in those last 6 months, there were times when Mam was going to Ashland Hospital by the bus twice a day. Was it twice a day? Twice a day. And that's like a 2.5 hour round trip. So she was spending like 5 hours a day just to get the same for an hour or so. Yeah. And she did that for months and months and months in the winter because we weren't here. You know, when we were here we tried to help, but a lot of the time Mam was doing that on her own. And she nursed Dad and she looked after Dad right up till the day she died. And you were together for how many years?
Wait.
With Dad? How many years when he died?
We've been dating some years now.
We were married for 39, just short of 40 years, wasn't we?
We would have been married 47 years. 39 years.
Yeah.
So,
So,
I was just
in all of those 15 years, there were very hard years as well, because not just was there the physical effects and mental effects, but they were also very hard up. You know, Dad wasn't working, and they had to struggle because there were still young children around that had to be brought up. So Mam did a magnificent job doing that, and we'll never forget that. Lastly, Mam, if you can all tell, you're not just a mom, but a grandmother. And how many grandparents we got now? Because we'll lose count of this. Don't ask me to say
about 15.
About 15. No, that went on nowhere. Right. And Mam also plays a part in looking after the grandchildren. She's a wonderful grandmother in the sense that she has such expertise and such knowledge about children. She can tell you anything about them. So, Mam, if we will come here, and by the way, in This Is Your Life, there's also a surprise guest in there, right? That's me. Because I'm supposed to be in Germany. Actually, I'm supposed to be at the match, but I'm supposed to be in Germany. But Mam didn't know that any of us were coming, but if we've all come, and we're all here today, it's because you're a wonderful Mam, and we love you.
So you say no.
Told you that wouldn't work. So, here we go. Can we raise a glass to say...
I've got some lovely, wonderful neighbours, so that's what keeps me.
What about your bed?
Can we just say all the best
And Louis
to
here.
Sylvia on your 70th birthday?
Louis. The next one, I'll be near running when you're pregnant across that foot.
Sorry, can I just... 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute before I finish. There are some thank yous that I'd like to say. First of all, Maureen said, thanks ever so much, Louis, not just for this year, but for every single time you've come here.
Here.
The friendship you give us, and you're always...
Happy birthday, dear This bird is here with work. And he talks to you more than cover.
I like my twin.
No, he didn't.
We're going to make it twin
don't know. It's 10 years old.
Your twin tube is gone.
Paul, it was all
You've been down school in the morning.
I got 10 quid for it.
My twin tube is 10 years old. I got it when she was 21. And then she's going that way.
She keeps insisting that you're an old man.
You know stuff's going on about your age.
She's most important person in this room at the moment. Oh, there. Did you get the coke?
She doesn't like it. Listen,
Hey, we're for a twin tube.
You put your washing in and I mean it's all washed and
It's
full.
done.
hanging on the line.
It's lovely. Yeah, I'm on that.
Mams.
I'll kill them. How did that? No.
Where's my card up?
Where's my card? Happiness on your engagement.
Everyone's got to sign it yet, but it's from all your bands and grandbands. Everybody?
I know everybody will be ready to get it.
Mom, Arthur just wants the word.
And look,
Arthur, come here.
Arthur, come in, Arthur. My funny lad.
Come on in now.
Oh, come in. Arthur.
Come on.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, look what the kind of got me.
Drag Arthur in.
And I'm going happy with him. I'm doing it.
Quickly, wash them.
I'm keeping it.
When you're washing them, just come on.
Because you've always been on, oh, get yourself
One thing Karen just always say, she didn't know how we kept the dances clean.
Aye.
She never had one of them, eh?
Hey! I've been here.
What do you got your, ma'am, what do you got your keys in your hand for?
That's me way out. That's me way out. That's the key for me way out. I've got I think I had about 5, 8 years left.
Would you stop talking like that? I don't like
8
to talk
years
like
left.
Right, make the most of
You
it.
told me you were
There we go.
One of the years gone by, we were on sure there.
Oh, yep. Whoa! Keep you up. I know. Yeah, I'm going to get on there.
Oh no, I'm talks like an angel, but I don't want. You're the devil in disguise. Oh yes you are. Devil in very young, isn't it?
Believe it or not, about a month ago. Funny you should say that. A month ago, this happened because they went to there was a remembrance service, like, I mean, when that was looking like, when and all these people walking from away from me, and they were bound into
No, I'm not. No, don't guilty. Not even drinking neither, which is the next comment.
Where we go with 34 degree water tank, we walk
We'll come to the next one as well.
Iris, is that right? They're all here from here. Hey, you know what I said, well, how do I come here?
Yes, turn them to Mams, I'd rather see you. What I would have been having. Catherine. That way, so I'd rather see you.
I like the way you're going
Mary chopped Iris's hand.
It's only Iris, Sarah. I told her it's looking like that, you would think I was restraining someone there.
If I could have.
Aye, well, when it is. Oh, dangerous.
I'll have to know that. Definitely not. Irish, you're going to have
Audrey, where do you get this made? It's
the guy who gave me wedding cake.
I was going to say
take it by surprise. You're the natural work, not the...
Join in.